Hello, hello. It's Renee here. And of course, Augie is joining us as usual. This is one of the times I bring her in for sure. She enjoys the talk. Anyway, it's May Paper Pumpkin time. And so you can see some of my alternates here. I did add a March. I did not do the fourth one, but I did the three and did another March one because I could not resist. The Beyond Horizons is a great paper pumpkin. And if you haven't gotten the paper yet, New Horizons, you might think about that for sure. Okay, so we are going to start the live here and talk about these cards. Yes, yes. All right. I'm just going to go ahead and pause this for just a second, and I'll be right back. It probably is already recording. And so it does say the meeting is going on. So everything looks good. I'm going to go check as I usually do. Yes, that's good news. That sorry about that. That was weird. So it's definitely going on. Yes, it's going on. So everything going on. So there, it just takes me a second to go ahead and get that figured out. Sorry about that. Anyway, hello, it's about 3 o'clock. Oh, it's 3:04 and it's time for our May Paper Pumpkin alternates. I'm kind of excited about these and quite pleased with the outcome. And so we're going to talk about each of them and I'm going to make one for you. All right, so let's go ahead. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of my face. And so there we go. Sorry about the reach. And let's talk about these. And the first one that I want to talk about will be this one right here. And actually, I'm going to do that one last, since that's the one I'm going to go ahead and show you. So let's go ahead and do one of these, okay? And so I'm going to choose this one here. And for this one, you can see that I did use the little pouch. All right, and I used the green pouch. So I'm going to just show you some of the things that were used. Here, I used the green pouch and I used this embossing folder right here, Fern 3D embossing folder. It's a new embossing folder. So I used that to emboss this and then went ahead and folded the sides down. My sweet little bird's talking to us. Folded the little sides down after I embossed it. And then I did use that wonderful, wonderful double-sided tear and tape to put that down. It's the best because if you use glue, sometimes you get the glue on the inside. And so then it makes the inside of this sticky. Okay, so that was one of the things that I used. I did use, of course, their banner. All right. And then I did go ahead and I'll show you that in a second. I did, of course, use the card. All right. And so then I went ahead and used the new season of Chic dies. I just love these dies. And this is called Chic Dies, Season of Chic Bundle, I believe. And it is fabulous, and it's all it's supposedly to be. It is. And I also used this, if you haven't gotten this yet, gilded leafing. I put that gilded leafing on there. I've showed you how to do this. If you look at my previous recordings, you will see me where I just put the glue down. I just literally put the glue down and then just put it down right here. And then I go ahead and put the gilded leaves right on top. and then use a sponge or a dauber. Most of the time I've used a dauber to go ahead and brush off the extra gold off, and it works so beautifully for me. I also did use the tailor-made tag dies and to make this card. All right. And instead of using money or something like that, that is where my sentiment is, just for you. I did use also ribbon on top, and I did pull it through. And the way I pull the ribbon through is basically through the back. I go ahead, pull it through, and then loop this in, and then make my tie. I don't know if you saw that, but again, I just loop it through like this. Let me show you. I'm a little off today in my hand coordination, but you see I looped it through this way. So from the front, doubled it from the front to the back. Then I put it is important that you do that this way if you want to make sure that you get a nice bow, and then you just construct your bow. Okay, so that's how that is done. All right, so then I did go ahead and use our brushes, and I did use our new ink that we have here that is called the Tahitian Tide, and I did go ahead and did a blending of that to get to this. Okay, so I did want to say that if you do not have tailor tag dies, or if you do not have a tag punch, what you can do is, I think the lighting's a little off. I think it's hard to see. Let me see if I can see. No, the lighting's fine. It's from my yeah, looking on the camera, it's fine. So here I go a half in and a half down, a half in and a half down. And then you're going to cut this off, and punch a hole with a hole punch, or you can punch a hole with your pick a tool and go ahead and do it that way. This is 2 inches wide, and this is 3 7/8 long. Okay, and then half an inch, half an inch, half an inch, half an inch, and you've got the exact same tag basically if you do not have these tailor-made tag dies. I simply die cut these out from the Schick, and then I went ahead and glued them on after, of course, I put the gilded leaf on the inside. I did go ahead and cut an envelope. All right, I did cut an envelope. Here is the top of my envelope. All right, they are very easy to cut. You will cut along this line right here, just like that. You will cut minimally, just really minimally, the edge here and the edge here, just minimally, okay, as you can see. And then what you're going to go ahead and do is cut the white part off, and you have your innards. And actually, this is quite large. The inside is at least, the inside was at least 5 and it was about 5 3/4. So you've got plenty, okay? And you've got plenty here as well, since this is 4.5. So you can cut it basically to 4 1/4 by 5, or a 4 by 5 1/4, whatever you like. It'll work fairly easily. I did do the best wishes. I did use my markers to go ahead and color it in. And of course, I used the Tahitian Tide to go ahead and do that. And that was my card. Very sweet. I think it's a very nice card. It does have an impact, and you could, of course, attach a little tea bag here if you like, or something that is flatter and smaller in terms of a chocolate if you like. And of course, even this, you could adhere your money card here or your cash in here just as well. But I do like the tag idea. I do think that that works just fine. All right. I don't know why I'm not getting that in there, but that's okay. There it goes. So that was that one. Okay. That made that. Now this one, and I'm showing you the different sets because what I did is I used different sets to make each of these cards. Now, I did make this bird from, you've seen me make this bird as well, from a punch that is in the clearance rack. It does the heart and the lips, and the other half a lip is over here. All right, and all I do is I just cut from the center down and I make it into a wing, and the lips are gone and I still have the heart. And that's how I make that little birdie. It is quite easy to make that bird with that punch. I'm just trying to see if I can see that punch somewhere. I can. This is the punch. All right. This is that punch. And basically what you do is you go ahead and you can punch out your lips like that very easily. And then you go ahead and all I do is I go here and I cut, and then I have my wing and my bird. And there you go. That's all there is to this. There you go, there's your bird. Very cute. It's a good sized bird, and it's in the clearance rack, so it really is nice. So that is that one. All right, so I don't know why I'm so far away from my desk, but it seems like I am. All right, I did use the flowering tulips to do this besides the bird. You see, I do use the gemstones that were part of the kit. I lost my little blue one for some reason, not sure why, but I did. But the kit did give us some of these cute little sequences, and they're just great. And I can see here, I know I have them here somewhere. If I can show you. I thought I put them in here. Let's see if I can find them. Well, I cannot right now. Oh, there they are. There's the sequence. There they are. They're just small. And that came with that. And so in each one of these, I put those. And I had one here that obviously fell off, and I will have to put him back on. I can see that right now. Sometimes they do that. They just fall off. And so there you go. There it is. All right. So the way I did this is I basically took these dies. Here are the dies. They're just absolutely wonderful dies. And I went ahead and cut that here and did it twice, because the reason I did it twice is because I feel as if you could have had a bottom one as well as a top one. Now, I pretty much cut this. You can literally cut this off. You don't have to worry at all because it's going to go on that back side. So I just cut that off right there. And then I chose exactly what I wanted and I put it underneath. Okay. Now I thought it could work that you could do the same for the bottom and the top. And I could have centered that, not have the heart, have that lifted higher and have one on the top and the bottom. I thought that would be cute. Any kind of border that you might have could work on that. So here we go. Here is the card that was used. Here is that was used. And obviously we can't go higher because I just realized we can't go higher because it's structured that way. So all you can do is that. So that was not a good plan. So what I did is just simply glued this down back here and put this in. Yeah, I'm not very coordinated today. I'm not sure why, but oh well, life goes on. So anyway, so here you go. And you just put this under and glue it. It was much easy. It's very easy, actually. And so you just go ahead. And there are quite a few people who have different things. The person that gave me the idea, they had hearts on theirs at first, and that's what gave me the idea on this. And so I went ahead and did that. I still would like something maybe on the bottom, but I can't see that you can really do that. I don't think that would really work. It's just too low. The U is just too low. But of course, you could cut out the U here as well and then just do it on a separate sheet, but that won't work. Okay, so on the inside of this card then, all right, you see that I did another embossing, and this time I embossed with a scripty. It's an old scripty. It came out in the mini catalog that's still available, and I did use the white ink to do this. All right, and I did do some more tulip dies, and I used the new paper in color paper, but again, you can use the envelope or you can color it yourself. You can go ahead. I've done that for sure, where you go ahead and just use your brush and your ink and do your own work. And it really is, you can do all kinds of things. I did this with a ruler to give it depth. It's the background, so you hardly see it, and I'll show you that in a bit. But that's what you can do instead. If you don't want to use up the designer paper, you can go ahead and cut a piece. Now I did cut this a little smaller, so this is 3 3/4 by 5, and again a tag. I did use a real red that goes with that, and I wanted a little bit darker ribbon with that to show it off. And it's sending you birthday wishes, and this came from the March Paper Pumpkin words, actually. So the March one, that was this one with the extra stamp set, if you remember. And so Paper Pumpkin, and so that was kind of cool. So that is our second one that you see here. So that was fun. And our third one that I'm going to show you is from the Horizons. Okay, and I just love the Horizons, and I couldn't resist doing one more. And it comes from the Simply Succulents bundle. That is no more a bundle. You buy the stamp set and the potted succulent dies separately. Simply Succulent stamp set and potted succulent dies. And it has this gorgeous die in it. There are many dies that are like this. Having one of these is definitely worth it. You might prefer flowers, other kinds of flowers besides succulents. You might prefer trees. There are different ones that are available currently. I think they're worth having. I use the designer paper Beyond the Horizons, New Horizons designer paper, and cut it out. Of course, I used some from the cats, from the wild cats from last catalog. I did have that and cut that out, and that worked real well. So so that was real nice. So, and this is very simple. I cut out a saying, "You've been on my mind." That is pretty simple card, and you just cut this out. Now, of course, I used a die cut to cut these out, these rectangles, and they're called stitch dies. But you don't have to do that. you can go ahead and use your machine. And the trick with using your machine to cut out any rectangle is decide on the dimension of how much what thickness you want on each of your sides. And when you decide that, then you can go ahead and cut. So I start at 1/2 inch down. All right, when I go and put my paper in here like this, I put it in my machine and I started my blade at 1/2 inch. Okay, and I put it in 1/2 inch. So I went in to the other side and went in 1/2 inch, and then I went down 1/2 inch and I cut. Since this is 5.5, I cut then to 5 inches as it says right here. All right, then I just turn it. So I cut here, I just turn it 90 degrees and I put it in 1/2 inch again over 1/2 inch. Here I started at 1/2 inch and I cut down now to 3 3/4 since this is 4 1/4. So that would be 3 3/4. And then I turn it again and I go 1/2 inch in and go ahead and do the same for all the sides. So whenever you're doing this, if you are using our scoring and cutting tool, you are at an advantage because you just take it over the 1/2 inch and you start the blade at 1/2 inch. Then you go ahead and cut down to the 5. And then you go ahead and go again in 1/2 inch and go down 1/2 inch and cut until 3 3/4. And that will give you a 1/2 inch border. If you wanted a thicker border, then you make your calculations. Each time you do have to make your calculations. So if you went 1 inch, you would start at 1 inch, you would go 1 inch over, you would start at 1 inch down here, and you would cut to 4, right? 4.5, correct? And then here you would, when you would turn it, you go in 1 inch, and then you would go to 3 1/4. You start at 1 inch down here and then go to 3 1/4 since it's 4 1/4. So each time you go ahead and decide what you want your width to be of your frame on the outside and then cut your inside window. So you can do that fairly easily without having to have, again, a die. All right. So that is that card. That was a very simple card also, but quite an impact. These cards are great. You know, they have quite the impact and look just lovely. And of course, you can go ahead and write your sentiments and your comments on the back. Okay, so I think we are ready for that last card. And I'm going to show you what inspired me. And I don't know if many of you know Jan B. She is from England. And it was hers. I had seen it from somebody else, but it's hers that I did copy. And so this card right here was inspired by this. This card has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 divisions. All right. So this card has 5. All right. So this was really fun to make. I enjoyed making this card quite a bit. All right. And you can see the elements that were used in this card, and we're going to talk about those. And so one of the elements that was used was the extra circle from the Orchid Oasis card. I just went ahead and took that out. That also uses that circle that I just saw, the For You circle. So this then goes into that hole, correct? So this goes into that hole. Well, I use that as part of this card as well. So that was this right here. Then this piece I thought was too long, so I cut it. and just cut the ends off and put just for you, and then use the bubbles in the stamp set. All right, we've got some measurements here, important measurements that we're going to be using. So that was that and that. The bird punch, the delightful new Songbirds bundle, which I absolutely love, and you can see many of my videos on this one. All right, just a couple of weeks ago, I did our wonderful Songbird, and you can check that out. Some great, great cards on that. And so I punched that little guy out and went ahead and used the dots from our kit that we got. And then I'm going to talk about how I did this part. As you know, these were all the same length. So we saw I used that. And I used these, right? And we'll talk about how I organized these. And then I did use an envelope. I did use the Orchid Oasis envelope as the background, but I did not have to, but I did. And back here, I used our new DSP Designer Series paper to do that. And of course, my heart comes from that clearance rack item of the heart and lips. All right, so you've seen how to cut the envelope. You do not have to see that again. Of course, I used a card. Here is the piece of the envelope that I'm going to be using for this card. Okay, I have decided that I might use these pieces. This piece here. This piece I will not use for this card because it is too big. This is the blank piece of cardstock that comes with that card. And I'm going to talk about this next. Okay, so in here came the same length strips, as you all know, if you have this kit. And I went ahead and I numbered each of these because I wanted them in a certain sequence. And so I went to the dark side. The dark side is the top part, okay? And then so it actually was flipped more this way. Let's flip it correctly so you can see the dark side. So if you look at it this way, this one is actually this one right here. And I labeled that number 5. So this right here, this little area right here was number 5 that had these, I believe, down here. I think so. Then number 1 was the one where they were actually the highest. All right. And that, I was hoping I could see that, but I can't tell the difference as much. But I'll tell you, when you have the dark side, the highest one was actually number 1. Then the second highest was number 2. Okay. Then wherever you had the lowest of the gold dots, that was number 5. So this is number 1 where you have the gold dots highest, number 2 second highest, number 5 lowest. So I needed, you do have to number them in terms of 1 through 5 because how we're going to cut them. All right. And so 3 and 4 were the ones that had no gold on them at all. So 3, let's say this were 3 and 4. It didn't matter the arrangement that you made, but you did have to number them. So number 1 would have been the highest. Let's put that here. Number 1 would have been the highest, number 2 second highest, and 3 the lowest. We'll do it 5, sorry, 1, 2, and 5, sorry. 1, 2, that's important. All right, so 1 was the highest, 2 was second highest, 5 was the lowest, 3 and 4, and you number them. Once they are numbered, okay, you are going to go ahead and take the number 1 and 5, which means where the gold is the highest and the lowest, and you are going to cut off a 1/2 inch. So strips 1 and 5, you're going to cut off a 1/2 inch. Strips 2 and 4. So 2 was the one with the second highest in gold, and 4 was whichever one you decided was 4 on the ones that had no gold. That was going to be a 1/4 inch off. And then the 5th one you leave alone, and the 3rd one you leave alone and don't cut at all. Sorry about my mispronunciations here and my errors. All right, so I thought it would be easier. I should have labeled them beforehand and I did not. So I can't tell with the diagrams what's what. Okay. And so once I did that, then what I have is I end up with these strips that 2 of them are the shortest and they go on the end, then second shortest, and then the tallest in the center. Okay. And then I glued them on these white strips. And the white strips end up to be 3 3/4 by 1, 3 1/2 by 1, and 3 1/4 by 1. The 3 1/2 by 1, you need 2. The 3 1/4 by 1, you need 2. And that 3 3/4 by 1, you only need 1 of those. So let's look at this arrangement. So number 1 will always be the shortest, and number 5 will always be the shortest. So here I have this as number 1. And then since the dark goes on top, this is number 5, right? The number 2 was the second highest with the gold. Second highest with the gold. And then number 3 would be the tallest, 4 with the dark at the top. And when I cut these, I cut the light side off. Okay, I cut the lighter section off. So when I cut this at a 1/2 inch, I didn't cut the dark side, I cut the light side off. And with that one, you'll just cut the tip of the gold right there. And then what I did here again, so that was a 1/2 inch off the bottom, 1/4 inch, and nothing at all. And you can see here what I have. I have the C. All right, I do have the C here. I don't know if I now have that set or where that set is. Yes, it is. It's a bundle, Waves of Inspiration. I do have the Waves of Inspiration wave dies and Waves of Inspiration stamp set. And I went ahead and used both of those for this. And what we're going to do is we're going to quickly build this card. And I could have used my envelope, but I decided to use designer paper. All right. I could also use this side, which I want to show you that it works very lovely. You can go ahead and just use this as well. We'll talk about how to arrange these in a few seconds. But there you go. And you can go ahead and arrange those, and you can see how lovely that looks. So all you need to do is take your brush, put it into the ink, and start working it through. And you've seen me show you how to do that, and it works just as well. I'm going to use the bubbles instead, though, today. And I just made that decision because I thought of these little bubbles, and so I thought that would be great. Again, one of the things that I have been talking about when gluing is go ahead and open up your card. It'll make it easier. I typically only go 1/8 of an inch difference. So mine are not the typical 1/4 inch difference, but 1/8 of an inch difference. And I'm going to glue that. Not sure what those noises are, but yes, and my bird is going, yeah, I hear that. So that is 1/8 of an inch, so that's a small amount. And this is going sideways, so that's good, that's good, that's perfect. So there you go. So that's really a small amount. Now what we're going to do is now you're going to work through adding this, all right? So to add this, all right, you're going to have to find your smaller pieces. You're going to go with your ends, and you're going to go as close to the edge as possible, okay? As close to this edge as possible. And I really am going to hardly leave anything at all. I'm going to put it sideways because what I want to do is I'm going to use my grid paper to help me find my center. All right, and I'm going to go check again my order because we do not want to make a mistake. I believe that is the last one. These are the 2 short ones, and this are the middle ones. We want to make sure of that. So that's going to go there and there. That's going to go there and there. Make sure you have your wave. All right. And what I want to do then is the dark is on top. My card is opening up correctly. I'm going to put that in there, and I'm going to leave about 2. Again, you really, really want to leave a very small edge because this pretty much just fits. All right. This does not have tons of room. So you want to go ahead and do that. So I'm going to go ahead. I might have my head in your way. Hoping not. But I'm going to see that that is 2, that is 2, that's, so again, I'm using my grid paper to help me. This is the new grid paper. It really is nice. Dark side on top, and I'm going to do my last one. I'm going to do the exact same thing. I'm going to take this around. I'm going to put it where my grid paper is, and I'm going to center that. Put my glue on there. And then I'm going to go down. I'm going to make sure that that is really centered here. That should be about right. That looks pretty right. Let me look at that. Maybe a millimeter down. Okay. I think I'm good. Yes. Okay. There you go. All right. Now what we're going to do is now we're going to go ahead and we're going to place these, see how much room we have, to get an idea of how much room we have left. Now it's going to be easy to center these. Yeah. So they're going to fall into place pretty easily. So you can see that difference. All right. So, all right. So the next ones are going to be right here. And what I'm going to do again, I'm going to glue that. And the way I do this, next step, is I'm just going to go ahead and make sure I don't want too big of a space, as I saw. And I want to make them equally distant here. From like that, like that. Don't want to run out of room. Good, that looks good. That looks about right. Good. Then I'm going to do that next one here. Keeping that distance. I will talk about how I did this wave. And again, you're trying to not have too much of a space. And so making that difference right here, this difference is what I'm trying to make sure is about the same. Okay. Now, and that'll put that right in the center very nicely. Okay, nicely centered, very nice. And again, I think that looks good. It's, yeah, that definitely needs to be higher. That one or that one needs to be lower. Yeah, a little bit lower. See if I can push that down. I think so. That was good. And then here, I'm just going to center this one. So I really felt with this set that this really worked out nicely. Now, the way I did this, okay, is what there's two ways really to look at this. You just want to make sure that this is centered in between them, and that this space and this space is the same. I do have probably a little more space here, but that's okay. That does not matter. That looks great. See, isn't that wonderful? Okay, so how I did this is I went ahead and took the strips when they were whole, okay, when I hadn't cut them. And then I used my Stamparatus. I had to use my Stamparatus. And when I used my Stamparatus, I put my pieces, and I actually spaced my pieces just about 1/4 of an inch apart so that I would get the wave on there. I knew I was going to have the spacing, so I decided I would give them that spacing. Okay, so I gave them that 1/4 of an inch spacing, so it looks more whole. Now, as far as the bottom being exactly even, it is not, because I would have had to, when I cut them, put them on correctly and all of that. And I decided I would just butt them up to the top of the Stamparatus. I butt up my strips about 1/4 inch distance, took them, put my piece in, made sure that my stamp would start right at the end here. So I had to adjust it and look, right? And then stamped, and then cut the bottoms off. And so you will see, yeah, it is a little bit off, but it really doesn't matter because of the type of stamp it is, and it's not a whole very detailed stamp. And of course, because I'm going to put this guy in here, it's not going to matter at all as well. All right, so I'm going to go ahead, and I stamped him and die cut him out. I took a die cut and cut my circle out. Again, you can use a punch, you can use many things. I'm going to put this down here like this. All right, and then this, what I'm going to do is I'm most likely going to go ahead and I'm going to use the same stamp, and I'm going to go ahead and stamp that and put that right there and cut this part probably off, because I don't want that. All right, I don't want that long. Again, I don't need it that long. And I'm going to use that sentiment, the same sentiment that I used for the bird. And I'm going to do the exact same thing just for, and then go ahead and probably put the bubbles on there. Okay, and then go ahead and put this on there. All right, if you look, I did wrap some linen twine around this part right here. There's some linen twine right here. And so that will be good. So that's pretty much how it will look. That's pretty much it. And then on the inside, what I decided I would do, I do believe I had a piece of white cardstock. I don't know if I still have it, but I did have a piece of white cardstock cut to size, but I do not see it. But what I was going to do is I was actually going to use this piece and put it down and then put a piece of white cardstock. Or what can be done, which is really nice, is you can go ahead, and I think that'll be just really cute. You can go ahead and put that down and put that for you right here, just like that. Won't that be cute? And then put your little heart. Use that punch again, that cute lip punch, which I so love. All right, you can go ahead and use that lip punch. And now there it is. You can use your heart. Oh, that's some thunder there. Then I'm going to go ahead and put that right there. Now, because it is so light, I don't have to have a white piece of cardstock. It'll be easy. My hands were a little sticky. I'm going to put that on dimensionals. It'll be just great to write your little message right here. It's light enough. It's cute enough, right? Put this on dimensionals. I might even do a little bit of coloring right there. I would love to see how many minutes I've been live right here. I don't know if I would be able to see. Yes, I'm going over. So I really prefer not to go over time. So you see how that looks. And since I'm already going way over time, I will show you the picture of this at the end. You will go ahead and see the picture without fail. And you know to go to my, you can go always to my group page, Renee's Paper Crafts, or my actual page, which is Renee's Paper Crafts Business. That's the difference. On my page, you see much more stuff about card making and Stampin' Up. On my group page, you mostly just see the cards and some information about Stampin' Up, not as much. So I thought this was a great card, and I hope you enjoyed it. And I will be talking to you soon again next Monday. Please, hearts, remember to heart my page when you're on it. It'll help with my algorithms, as they say. I really appreciate it. I hope you like this video. And if you're watching it on YouTube, my YouTube channel is Renate653. If you are watching it on YouTube, like and maybe even subscribe if you like and enjoy me showing my craft and how to do some of these cards. Okay, so have a great day. And I'm sorry I took up so much of your time, but I hope that you were inspired and enjoyed it. All right. Goodbye now.